Hi Wildcats. I want to walk through some of the notes on Unit 9, Focus Question 2, Work and Energy. So, Unit 9, Focus Question 2 relates directly to what we did in Focus Question 1 because it relates to work, but we're going to look more specifically at energy. So, if we just start with this picture, it's just a ball resting on a spring in a tube here, and that ball's just going to sit there forever, right? We would say it has no energy. It's not going to do anything. However, if we take our finger and we apply a force down to it, it would have some displacement. And so we know from our last unit, we would say that work is done. And now that ball has energy, right? If I remove my finger, it's going to go flying. So it has energy, it has the potential to do something. And then if we remove our finger, now the spring is going to apply a force to it, and it would have some displacement again, which means the spring did work on the ball, and now that ball has energy. We would say it has energy, its energy is in motion. So this focus question really relates to how all those things tie together. So let's start by looking at one type of energy, which you may be familiar with from and heard before. It's called kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy an object has because it's in motion. So if we start with this picture of the ball rolling down the hill, is an example of kinetic energy. It has kinetic energy because the ball is in motion, and so because it's in motion, so it has velocity and also it has mass. So the equation for kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 the object's mass in kilograms times its velocity in meters per second squared. So we would say kinetic energy is 1/2 mv squared. And that explains why we see different things in terms of in this picture, right? If we have two objects sitting on a table and they roll off, one has less mass, this tiny ball, it's going to make a much smaller splash here than this bowling ball would. When it goes in, it's going to make a much bigger splash. And since their velocity would be the same, right? They're both in free fall when they leave the table, and they started from the same height, so their velocity would be the same, but since they have different masses, their kinetic energy, or the amount of energy they have when they hit here and hit the water, would be different. It would be greater because this has a larger mass, so therefore more energy, bigger splash. The same would be true if we had a scenario where we took the same object and dropped it from different heights. If we drop an object from a larger height or a greater height, it's going to have more velocity when it hits the water, and therefore you'd have a bigger splash. So if you think of doing a cannonball off the side of the pool versus the diving board, when you do it off the diving board, you're going to have a much bigger splash, and that's because you, even though you have the same mass, have a greater velocity when you hit. So the simple definition of kinetic energy is the energy an object has because it's in motion, because it has mass, and because it has some velocity. Okay, so let's apply that. In this scenario, we have two objects, a 7-kilogram bowling ball going 3 meters per second, and a tennis ball. I looked up the mass, it's about 0.245 kilograms, and it's going 16 meters per second. So which of these would you rather get hit with? Would you rather get hit with the bowling ball going 3 meters per second, or a tennis ball going 16 meters per second? Assume you have to get hit with one of them. So I'd be interested to hear what your answers are here, but what would you rather get hit with? I don't think either, but if I had to pick one, I don't know. And so that's where physics helps us. Maybe a better way to think of this is which of those would have more energy, right? The one that's going to hurt more is the one that has more energy. So really want to think about which of these has more energy. And since we know that kinetic energy is 1/2 mv squared, we can actually figure that out. So I did the math. Turns out that they both have the exact same kinetic energy. If you take 1/2 7 times 3 squared, you get about 31.5. If you do that over here with the tennis ball, you also end up with 31.5. So when these objects hit you, they both transfer the same amount of energy to you, which seems weird because the bowling ball is heavier, but the math and the physics tells us that the same amount of energy would be transferred to us and therefore we could say that they would hurt about the same. So yes, it's true this one has more mass, but since it's going slower, right? This tennis ball is less massive, but it's going faster, so they would hurt about the same. So when it hits you, the object will apply a force over some distance. So in other words, these objects do work. So couldn't find a picture of a bowling ball hitting someone in the face, so I went with this. We would say that we know this hand applies some force, and let's say their face started out here and went into there, so there's some displacement. So here we have an example of that object applying a force causing some displacement, and so we would say that work was done, right? And so that relates back to here. There must be some relationship between work and energy. So that's what we would say is that work and energy must be related in some way, shape, or form. In fact, in focus question 1, we learned that work is a way to describe energy, and therefore we described work with the unit joules, which is the unit for energy. So let's just look at how for a second. The math, I've got two equations that we've seen before. Over here is Newton's second. Acceleration is force divided by mass. And over here is one of the 4 kinematics equations that we've used. So if we do some algebra, I want to get acceleration by itself here. So I would start by moving 2AD to the other side, or moving V initial over here. And what I would end up with is 2A, let's try that again in the right color. We'll just do it in black. 2AD is equal to V final squared minus V initial squared. And if I take acceleration and I substitute acceleration as force over mass, I would end up with 2 force times displacement divided by mass is equal to V final squared minus V initial squared. If I multiply both sides by mass, I'd end up with 2 force times displacement is equal to, I'd have to distribute the mass out, so mass V final squared minus mass V initial squared. And then if I divide both sides by 2, I'd end up with force times displacement equals 1/2 mass V final squared minus 1/2 mass V initial squared. And that should look familiar. I'm having some difficulties today apparently, so thanks for your patience. Some things in here should look familiar. First, work is equal to force times displacement. So force times displacement I could write as work. So the work is equal to, and we just learned a few minutes ago that 1/2 mv squared is the equation for kinetic energy. So I could say kinetic energy at the end, or final, minus kinetic energy at the beginning. And so this tells us mathematically the relationship between work and kinetic energy, which we saw with the punch and the bowling ball and the tennis ball, is the work done on an object is equal to the kinetic energy it has at the end minus the kinetic energy it has at the beginning. And that's called the work kinetic energy theorem, which is the net work done by all the forces acting on an object, right? Because it has to be net work, so all the forces, is the same as the change in kinetic energy of the object. So the work done on an object is equal to its change in kinetic energy. And therefore there's a direct relationship between work and kinetic energy. The more kinetic energy an object has, the more work it would do, which is exactly why the tennis ball and the bowling ball would hurt the same. Since they have the same change in kinetic energy, 31.5 joules, they do the same amount of work, / they would mush your face the same. So we would write that this work kinetic energy theorem can be written mathematically as work net is equal to change in kinetic energy, or work net is equal to kinetic energy final minus kinetic energy initial. And so that tells us the change in velocity tells us about work. So here I have two different boxes being pushed. In this one, the box has some velocity to start with, and the force on it is friction. So it is going to continue to slide some displacement, and when it gets done, it's going to have a final velocity of 0. And so since the force is to the left and displacement is to the right, we would say that the work done on it is negative. We learned that in the last unit. Over here, this box is at rest. It would have some displacement because the student is applying a force to it. The force, her force applied, is to the right. So now force applied and displacement are in the same direction, so we would say the work is positive. If we look at our work is equal to kinetic energy minus kinetic energy final minus kinetic energy initial equation, that would bear out, right? So I've written these down here in long form. 1/2 is the same in both of these, so that's not going to matter. The mass of the box isn't changing, so that's not going to affect our final answer. So really it's V final minus V initial. In this scenario, its final velocity is 0, so we'd have 0 meters per second squared minus 10 meters per second squared, because that was its initial. And so we would end up with an overall negative change in kinetic energy. And that's what we said when we started. Work is equal to negative because force and displacement are in opposite directions. Over here, I would be doing V final is 10 meters per second squared minus 0 meters per second squared. And so when I solve for this, I would end up with a positive amount of work done. And that's what we said when we started, right? Since force and displacement are in the same direction, we would have positive work. So really, this is just another way for us to now more mathematically describe why the work done is positive and why the work done is negative in this situation. One more type of energy to look at, and that's what we started with. It's called potential energy. Potential energy, just to make things difficult, someone decided that potential energy should be symbolized with the letter U, not E or KE or anything along those lines. So potential energy symbol is U, and it's energy stored by an object due to its position, shape, condition, whatever. And we're going to focus primarily on gravitational potential energy. And so since potential energy is gravitational, it's U sub G. And that's the energy an object has related to its position to the ground. So in this case, this rock has potential energy because it has some height above the ground. So the equation for gravitational potential energy, or U sub G, is an object's gravitational potential energy is equal to its mass times the acceleration due to gravity. That's why it has potential, because gravity is actually accelerating it down, times the height above that it has. And so that's how we would calculate an object's potential energy. So to pull this all together, from this focus question, we should learn a couple things. One, there are two types of energy for right now that we're learning about. One is potential. This object has potential energy because it has some mass, and it is, okay, I don't get this yet, guys. Sorry. We're almost done, too. I swear. We got this. We got this. Because it has some mass, it is on Earth, so therefore it is going to have some acceleration, and it has some height above the ground. This object over here, in this form, it has kinetic energy because it has mass as well as having velocity, right? It would be speeding down. And we know that its change in kinetic energy, so at the very top it would have 0 kinetic energy, and at the bottom it would have some kinetic energy, and we could also describe that as the work done on this object. So I hope that helps. I apologize for all my misclicks during this presentation. I hope you still found it helpful. If you would like more clarification, there are videos available online as well as some the text. And I will also be linking how to do some problems related to these concepts on CMS as well. So I hope that helps. If you have questions, please let me know.